Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. Okay, if you are the type of person that supports and wishes that Donald Trump were in the Oval Office, if you're the type of person that wishes our borders were secure, if you're the kind of person that wishes we had sound economic policy, that we continue to have energy independence, that you wish that there were all these calls to defund the police, that there was law and order, and that criminals of all shapes, sizes, and monetary assets and political influence actually paid for the crimes that they committed and that the laws were distributed equally. There's nothing wrong with you. You are a normal American, as am I. If you are looking at everything and saying this doesn't make any sense, there's got to be something at play, there's got to be some sort of collusion, airy things going on. It's got to be some sort of conspiracy, there's got to be some sort of plan, there's got to be some sort of scheme or skullduggery going on. Because all these things happening don't make any sense. There's nothing wrong with you. You are absolutely correct. You are a sound mind. You are not crazy. You are not a right-wing conspiracy theorist. You're not some fringe loco, because you're seeing all of these things not make sense, except for the fact that they all seem to be coordinated. Let's not forget that the idea of conspiracy theory being a bad thing, or originates from people asking and looking into the lies having to do with the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and questioning that magic bullet, and not getting answers about all the shady things having to do with the autopsy of JFK, the people on the grassy knoll, and just a whole bunch of unanswered questions. When things go, oh, you're just a crazy conspiracy theorist because things don't make sense. And you want answers. Don't let them gaslight you, my brothers and sisters. Let me put this in perspective for you. You're not the conspiracy theorist. They are the ones always lying to you without any fact. And then, when you question it, you're the wrong type of person. You're a right-winger, you're a conspiracy theorist, just because you don't buy into what they're telling you, just because it doesn't make any sense. Oh, no, we know, recession has been defined as a drop in production, as a negative growth in GDP over 2 consecutive quarters. But no, that's not really what it is. We're not in a recession when you can see that we're in a recession. And in the middle of all this, we have inflation, and they actually go and pass a large spending bill during this recession. Do you have a guy, Senator Manchin, who has been a pretty stalwart protector of fiscal things stymieing the Democrat Party and their spending over the last couple of years? Let's say all of a sudden, he buddies up with Chucky Schumer and changes course, like that. It's not you. It's them who are trying to gaslight you, because it does seem strange that all of a sudden we have all of these sudden, strange deaths of athletes and young, healthy people. It is strange that in the middle of a recession, they're trying to tell us we're not in recession, that in the middle of high inflation, they are passing large spending bills. We have someone named Liz Cheney, foaming at the mouth, along with her fellow rhino, Adam Kinzinger, both kaput. Their political careers are kaput, which is fine by me, because I think we should have term limits anyway. But in the middle of all this, they are doubling down and going after President Trump and his supporters, knowing that they are severely outnumbered. Yet the Democrats continue to do things going into a midterm year and going into 2024. That don't make any sense. Traditionally, when a party wants to win and curry favor with the public, are they up to something or they know something? We don't know? Look, you have common sense. And there's nothing wrong with you. If you start to see all these dots and start to make some connections. Wow, there's got to be a reason why. In the last year, we're seeing all these record deaths of people that are otherwise healthy. What has happened over the last year and a half, that never happened before? We can narrow it down to something and draw some pretty logical conclusions, or at least hypotheses. We're in the middle of a recession, but they want to change the definition of that, and they want to spend us into oblivion. Our money's already inflated in a midterm election year. It's as if they're not afraid to lose these coming races. There's nothing wrong with you thinking there might be a conspiracy or something at play, that they might be up to something. It's them trying to make you feel like you're crazy for thinking that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. Why would they say that therefore in law and order, and they want there for the American people and the American worker, but the establishment folks, both rhinos Republicans, but of course 110% Democrats? Why did Joey stop building the wall, allow illegals to come and fight to end Title 2040, to essentially start, catch and release again? When they say that they're for the American worker, they're for the poor. But yet these unskilled labor are coming in and competing with black youth and inner city Americans and poor Americans. Why would they do that? Again, why would they do that in election year? Why would they say one thing and do another? And why there's so many people in on this Border Patrol leadership, or let's say DHS, Mayorkas, the president. Guess who's down with this also? Yeah, the Chamber of Commerce, the US Chamber of Commerce, big business, Democrats. There's nothing wrong with you thinking that there might be conspiracy or collusion, or some sort of behind the scenes behind the doors. Agreements being made that you and I are not privy to. Nothing wrong with you. You're just observing the real world that you live in and drawing logical conclusions. How about mandating that people do things that aren't backed by the data? Whether it's suffocating yourself as you walk around, or having something put in your body. My body, my choice, except for when it comes to this. The data is coming now that maybe we're sold a bill of goods, maybe it doesn't do what by definition is supposed to do, but they change the definition of what that is again, and it's not supposed to prevent you from getting it. It's there so that if you do get it is not as bad. When has that ever been the definition? Nothing wrong with you folks. It's them. They are the theorists. They are the liars, they are the nutbags, and they are gaslighting you. Nothing wrong with you. You're not fringe. A lot of Americans, many Americans, hundreds of millions of Americans see what you're seeing, and are drawing the same conclusions. Inflation high and no policy to not only curb it, but to make it worse. At 7,000 new agents in the IRSO, but we're not going to go out to the middle class. Hogwash. Rich people have attorneys, and they have accountants who fight back against these audits. President Trump himself are billionaires, and they're to this, I'm rich, I have audits, I tie that stuff up for years. I mean, you can spend $10 million a year legal fees and fighting against the IRS. So that you don't have to pay 100 million, or 70 million or 40 million, it comes down to dollar and cents. And when you have $1 a lot of dollars, it makes sense to keep as much of those dollars as you can, especially since the tax code, I hope you know this contradicts itself 1,000s of times. Page limit 114C says that you cannot deduct this. But another law, supposing helping the economy and the environment, says you can write this off. They never took the other one off the books or clarified it. And they pass a new law, which is supposed to supersede the other law. But the IRS is still enforcing people on the original law, hoping that people are ignorant of the new version. Why would they hire 87,000 new agents in the middle of an economic firestorm that's going to make it tougher for small businesses, tougher for individuals? Unless, of course, this is all by design. There's nothing wrong with you with seeing that there's a design behind all of this, that there is collusion, there is conspiracy. It's not you, it's down. And let's not forget that the rich write the tax code. They write the loopholes. How they do that? They say, hey, Johnny, Q, Senator, Miss Senator or Mr. Congressman, pass these new tax laws, but make sure that there is a loophole for my industry or my region, or we get a tax write-off for this because we're really investing in the infrastructure. And they write that in there. And then these people like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, everyone must fear we are not taxed enough. It's not fair that my secretary is paying more taxes. You believe them? Of course, their secretary is paying more taxes. You can believe him on that. But do you believe I really believe they care? They write the tax code to benefit them so that everyone else gets host. But of course, if you notice this, then you're a right-wing conspiracy theorist. We have energy independence. And now we're subject to enemy states in the Middle East, China, Russia, Venezuela, begging oil from our enemies. Because on day one, Joey ends the XL pipeline, and doesn't want to renew gas. And Ali says we got some good news on that. That doesn't make any sense. Unless, of course, there's some sort of conspiracy to work against the American people. You're not crazy. Just look at the dots and start connecting them. This can't be by accident. This can't be just bad policy, because we had great policy under Trump. And they went in full bore to reverse all the good policy. They didn't tweak it and then try to rebrand it as their own, which would be the smart thing to do if you really wanted to help America and take credit for it. Now, they want to destroy everything, and make you believe that you are crazy for questioning them and their motives. Ukraine is a totally corrupt country, but now we're sending millions and billions of dollars every single week. There's more money being sent to them. and former military aide. CBS actually reports that like 25% of it actually goes in front lines. And then CBS all of a sudden takes the report down, and all of a sudden, oh no, that's not really true. But you're a conspiracy theorist. If you believe there's collusion shouldn't between the treasonous traitors rat bastards and the government and the Marxist mockingbird muppets in the mainstream media? It's not you folks. It's them. There's nothing wrong with you. You are of sound mind. Oh, Hunter Biden's laptop is hidden is called disinformation. They're still to be true, but nothing still happens. Matter of fact, the crack addict on our dime flew on Air Force One to Coney Island so you can have a vacation with his father, yet they were going after Trump Jr., Don Jr., Eric and Ivanka over possible business deals. That never happened in the field of business that they were already in before their father even ran for the president and became the president. Nothing to see here. And then Merrick Garland gets up and says we believe in a fair law equally distributed when everyone knows that that's absolute bull-shyster. But you're the conspiracy theorist. If you believe that elitist get their way, and they're trying to destroy America. It's not you, folks. It's them. Food shortages, all these fires, destruction. We're seeing companies now not producing ammonia because it's connected to the high price of natural gas. And of course ammonia is one of those things that we need in fertilizer use and fertilizer in the middle of a fertilizer shortage. Well, that sure seems wacky while you do that during this. Unless there's some sort of conspiracy to starve us to make things difficult for us to weep to thin the herd. But then they say we're conspiracy theorists, because we're seeing these things that just don't make any sense. Don't worry about it. You're not crazy. You're a sound mind. It's not you. It's them. I'm not done, folks. Defund the police. But say you're for law and order. No voter ID, but you say you're for people of color and black people. Black people overwhelmingly support voter ID. They don't want I say they as if I'm not one of them. But I'm just talking as a Democrat because the Democrat puts people in boxes. Black people want their votes count and not be diluted by illegal aliens voting votes that shouldn't be cast by residents, people on visas or other ways. They want voter ID. Nope, it's racist. Even though every country in Africa and every country in Latin America, I can't think of any exceptions, require some sort of voter ID. Mexico has an official ID called the current electoral, your electorate credentials, your voting credentials. But it's racist all of a sudden when you cross the border in America to have to need that to vote. Isn't that something? There's got to be a reason why they're behind. That should be pretty obvious what they're up to and why they don't want that. But of course, if you question that, or even talk about on this platform, you're House D and you're a conspiracy theorist. There's nothing wrong with you. You are a sound mind. It's not you. It's them. Trump led an insurrection. Really, who they hurt, kill, or maim, or what did they accomplish? Nothing. BLM Antifa hurt, kill, man, destroy property. Get a pass yet? All were for law and order. It's not you folks. It's them. Russia. The first and second impeachment hoaxes. Working President Trump impeach. Oh, he's talking to Ukraine, trying to bring down a political opponent, while the actual Biden, DOJ invades and raids President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. They're trying to pass it off as a court-sanctioned search warrant. It's them. You are seeing all of these dots. And you're coming to the conclusion that any sane, rational, common sense having person will come to, and that is, they are not working for us. They're working against us. We don't have to have all of the moving pieces and all the information to know, because the false thing that the left does, and your friends or family members, oh, it's just a conspiracy. Who's behind it? Who's the white man in a white suit with his white finger on the white button? Doesn't work that way. It is a little more complicated. There's all of these little groups working for their particular. You have the bankers working for their particular focus and working on whatever they can to control the outcome for them. You have the warmongers, the military-industrial complex. You have the elitist family of America. You have the tech oligarchy of America, the masters of the universe. You have the U.S. Chamber of Commerce working for big business and medium-sized business. You have actual Marxists who want America to be socialists so we can get into communism that way. And then you have the CCP with a whole bunch of puppets and people doing things just for the almighty dollar. Or they want to convert it to thee on whatever they may be. You have all of these, All these little conclusionary groups that all add up to working against we the American people who just want limited government and to be left alone. It's not you, it's them. And they make it sound like we have to have the burden of proof of, if there's a conspiracy, explain to me what they're doing or have it no, the burden of proof is not on us to prove that, how they're conspiring against us, and to know all the players and to know exactly what the endgame is, even though they have these international councils every year, even though they have these groups in these organizations, and they publish the insulin, that's exactly how they're going to do it. Or they have these studies, or these mock trials, or these drills, and they publish all these things. Yeah, they disclose what they're up to. But we don't always know all the players and all the moving parts, and then they make it seem like we have the burden of proof of proving every single part of the conspiracy against us now. That's not how it works. We can see that they're working against us without knowing exactly how they're doing it. All the ins and outs. Don't fall for that, my brothers and sisters, when you're friends. Okay, well, if there's a conspiracy against us, who's in it? How's it working? Hey, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I just know that from what I'm seeing connecting all these dots. They are not working for us, and they're working together against us. That is the truth, my brothers and sisters. It is not you. There's nothing wrong with you. Seeing the conspiracy, seeing the collusion going on, seeing the skullduggery, seeing the cheating, seeing the fraud, seeing the working against the American people, the undermining of our Constitution. It's them who are doing all of that. And they are the ones with the fake conspiracy theories. Russian collusion, insurrection. Q. Read it. Right-wing conspiracy. Gunner nuts. And of course, they sprinkle in all kinds of racism and bigotry. Thank you very much. WWG1WGA. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button to watch the next episode. Goodbye.